Hi, I'm Jesse.
I'm Tim.
We're here to provide you with another Stars and Steels battle report. Today, our scenario, we are fighting over a center area. On the second turn, it's going to be worth 1 victory point. On the third, it's going to be worth 2. On the fourth, it will be worth 3, and it will decrease in value by 1 each turn after that for a total of 6 turns.
Whoever has the most stars of squadrons in the zone will score the points.
Yep. So, with all that said, let's get going.
In this game, we are using a new squadron that is going to be released on September 23rd. This is the Black Squadron. This squadron is commanded by Issa G. Weiss, which is a spin on my name, as this is the prize for winning the Battle Report contest that Assault Studio Publishing ran. I'm pretty happy with this unit. The battleship is kind of a unit that I desire to have in this game. It only has 2 artillery and 2 missile dice, but in the front arc, those values are increased by 2 each. It has the battlecruiser rule a little bit differently than the stock battlecruisers. This unit will effectively fire, turn, and move as a cruiser, which I like the added mobility. It also has a fighter point and decent point defense. The cruisers, which are also absolutely excellent, they themselves have 4 artillery dice and a fighter point. Although they do not have any missile dice, they are still highly effective, and I really like those. They each have 2 point defense, which is less than the battleship, but pretty solid overall. Very happy with them. And the little destroyers are kind of a cross between the point defense destroyers and the artillery destroyers. They have 1 point of artillery fire and 2 points of point defense. The squadron has a special rule that upgrades its D3 for damage repair to a D6. I've not gotten to use this ability much yet, but pretty awesome. I really like the ability to quickly repair. That comes in pretty handy, especially towards the tighter ends of games that run long. It's very helpful. It also has a squadron efficiency rating of 3 and a command and discipline of 4, making it overall a very good unit for a 4-star squadron. Very happy overall. Hope you guys get a chance to try it out. Alright, I am playing the Black Squadron. It is 1 battleship, 3 cruisers, and 4 destroyers. The next squadron here, Squadron 3, has 4 artillery destroyers and 4 artillery cruisers. It is rigid, and it is a Commodore. Another Commodore in charge of Squadron 4, also rigid, 4 missile cruisers, 2 missile destroyers, and 2 corvettes. Vice Admiral, which is balanced. Let's get that. Vice Admiral, balanced, in charge of 2 carriers, 2 light carriers, and 4 corvettes. Then I've got Squadrons 2 and 6 over here, which are just 2 light cruisers and 6 missile destroyers. Both of them are captains that are flexible. Then my small single-star squadrons. 2 squadrons of frigates that are balanced. 2 squadrons of rigid artillery cruisers, or artillery destroyers. And I've got 2 mostly missile destroyer groups, but they each have 2 corvettes attached to them. These are also rigid. That's it for me.
Alright, we've got 12 identical squadrons of balanced captain and 10 of the frigates. I didn't put them on flag stands because time got away from me this week.
Tim's deployment has him deploying in a cluster kind of inward facing towards the objective. In his orders phase, some of his squadrons have managed to take close formation and perform evasive actions. The Americans focusing their fire on a couple of squadrons. On the American side, the Americans chose to deploy a little bit heavier on this side, mostly due to terrain, and to keep our bigger squadrons close together. Russians have really laid in heavy missile firepower in the center on the 2 artillery destroyer groups. Going to be a tough round for them to survive. Going into the movement phase.
Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties here and lost the following footage for about to the next artillery phase. What happened here was the American destroyers took a number of casualties from the Russian missile fire, but the squadron on the closer side to the asteroid field only took 1 or 2, the one behind the asteroid field being pretty devastated, but both surviving. Tim's units took a couple of casualties, the one closest to the camera taking some pretty severely, and in the movement phase, the American squadrons rushed up the sides, and Tim's squadron, also close to the camera again, plowed towards the objective to get out of close combat with the other squadrons. Most importantly, the American artillery cruiser kind of charged the frigate's line here. That proved out to be a bit of a mistake, as we will soon find out.
Alright, after artillery phase, both of those squadrons have been annihilated. Over here, the Americans still managed to hold out with 2 destroyers, and damage has been spread around over here. The loss of 2 Russian destroyers, 5 Russian destroyers, and 1 Russian destroyer. The Americans pulled out over here even with 6 damage. But they've got the missile phase to still go through. Moving on to movement. Alright, after movement phase, Tim has converged on the objective, which is worth 1 point this round. The American fleet is still trying to skirt up the flanks a little bit. Don't know if that will pay off, but we are going into the fighter phase, and then we will go into the missile phase after that. After the missile phase and fighter phase, all the fighters converted into missiles. We had some damage over here, lost 3 destroyers. That squadron in the center was destroyed, although it only had a couple of things left. There was a destroyed Russian destroyer over there, and these 2 squadrons were annihilated over here. Another Russian frigate group and these American artillery destroyers. These frigates managed to hold out, although they took heavy casualties. And this frigate group right here took some damage, but managed to get out pretty thin. So, on to the 3rd turn. This is Tim securing 1 victory point at the end of this turn. It's turn 3 orders. Got a missile exchange on the back there between those 2 units. A lot of aggregated missile attacks there. Tim is owning the center for the 3rd round, but we are maneuvering on this side, coming about to challenge the center. Although we do not have a particularly large amount of close-in fighting ships left at this moment. We will see how this goes. On to the artillery phase. Over here we've lost 1 destroyer, and over here we lost 6 destroyers. But over here we lost the rest of the squadron of number 8. On to movement. After movement, Americans are largely pausing as Tim continues to take the center. The Americans are preparing for their push next turn. 1 frigate got a little antsy though and decided to bury itself in the center to cause chaos, as it death rides for the glory of the American space empire. At the end of round 3, we've got a couple more casualties. Lost 3 cruisers and a destroyer over here. all 3 squadrons here have been destroyed. 2 Russian, 1 American. Had some casualties over here. Looks like, is that 8 destroyers between those 2 squadrons? 10 still barely hanging in there. Oof, more. 10 is still hanging in there, helping claim the objective. As this wing prepares to pounce in. Moving on to round 4. Alright, the important turn 4. Orders issued. We've got a lot of fire coming in here to finish off that squadron. These 2 squadrons are also taking a lot of heat and doling it out also. Hopefully, looking a little thin there to get 10, but maybe there's enough on there for 8. We'll see. On this side, all the remaining American units are primed to go in. Launch their fighters and are ready to go. In the center, we've got 1 Russian squadron taking a lot of heat, but the other guys are standing ready to defend the center. On to the artillery phase. Alright, the artillery phase. 2 damage over here. A couple of casualties here.
6.
And 6 over here in the center as we head into movements. Here we have the movements. Everybody's getting into the circle for crunch time. All the Americans make it, but this squadron over here that was too disrupted to do an all-head full order. Alright, on to fighters and missiles. Here it is after the missile phase on the 4th turn. The Americans are kind of cleaning up, but in return kind of had some of their stuff cleaned up as well. We have over here the missile cruiser squadron and the missile destroyer squadron both getting axed with only 7 damage. Blew away the little tiny destroyer squadron. Excellent rolling. Over here we have a couple of dead Soviet squadrons. Russian squadrons, I should say.
And 1 more over here.
1 more over there. The Americans ended up with more units in now than the Soviets. This is the 4th turn, so that is a 3-for-3 tie. Going into turn 5, which will be the deciding turn. Orders going into turn 5. Got a melee that is a little rough on the Americans there, as they just put their toe in to get the objective. And they are going to pay the price for that. This is the Russian squadron that's getting hammered by the American wings coming in. And the Russians have spread their fire across the American front. Mostly due to the front one here evading right after it got targeted. And we are going to the artillery phase. Alright, artillery round has gone off. A surprisingly great result over here, losing both light cruisers as the Russians valiantly defend the objective. We have some destroyer casualties over here, but the wall of Americans is standing strong as we go into movement, missile, and flight phase. I do not think there's going to be a terribly large amount of movement, as we all need to stay in the objective for the most part. Alright, so here we are at the end of round 5 with the Americans still holding the objective. This 1 Russian squadron was eliminated by missile fire, and a American squadron lost a destroyer over here, but other than that, the Americans have held the center at the end of turn 5, resulting in an American victory.
So that was our game. Americans eking out a win. Round 5.
Hey, it worked out great. You limited how much damage I could put back on you, and that really worked to your advantage in the later tiers whenever it didn't really have that much of a flex. And then that really showed how much that you being able to keep half of my firepower from being effective really worked out. I thought that I would be able to edge you out, but I was wrong.
Yeah, I did think that we would have more of a running battle, and my flanking maneuver worked only in that it kept me away from you. I kind of thought that I could maybe like navigate and be protected by getting out of arc, but your destroyer is so you can turn around so quickly, so that didn't really do anything.
I'm just excited that there's something to fight over.
I
Rather
mean-
than, we're kind of distance, maybe we go over here, maybe we won't, da, da, da.
Yeah, I agree. I like the objective-based scenarios better. But yeah, I found overall I think with a couple of things we've tried, just kind of messing around with ideas that I've borrowed from other systems.
Yeah.
I just think, when they get more scenarios out, there's going to be a lot more variety for different types of engagement. I'd kind of like to see more terrain types too, because I know we like the terrain types, and they actually mattered this time. I mean, we had several issues navigating around the asteroid field. And, I think maybe for future scenarios, we could add more of that in.
Or we go and buy enough felt to have actually enough terrain that needs to be represented on the battlefield, because I can't remember how many grids it even has. We've been separated into 9 because we have 6 pieces of terrain. But if I can't remember if it's supposed to be like 3 to 5 for every.
Yeah, it's
foot.
9 for the small one, and we should be playing with 16, and it should be, I think it's D6 minus 2 or D3 minus 1 or something like that. But the terrain pieces are much smaller than what we're playing with, so they're a little bit bigger. I don't know, we probably should get some more, but I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
Felt's cheap, and it would make it to where you'd move different, but if we use those scenarios out of the box, I don't think it wouldn't change what we did. We would both drive forward, lob missiles. And
Well, I mean, to be fair, this was different though, because usually in the past we've been driving forward and shooting guns, and this one was much more missile based. I mean, I think our forces were both kind of balanced for fighting both ways, but very quickly my artillery stuff just got decimated because it ran into your artillery range, and then I stopped sending things in there.
well, I targeted the artillery stuff deliberately.
Oh yeah,
On the small squadrons. The big squadron came to me, and he got all the firepower that went that way.
yeah. I like the disrupting units, but it has not paid off well for me, except when harassing carriers. But I like carriers more than you do, so that's not going to happen very often.
No, I probably won't play carriers again without playing a very carrier-based section that really doesn't contribute anything else. And at that point, I really feel like I'm better off with some kind of missile cruisers.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they have 6-inch longer range, too.
Yeah.
So,
I
whatever I lose out on firepower, I don't feel like fighters are giving me the versatility that I want.
I did save that one squadron on the first turn with my fighters, but that was the only intercept action we saw that really mattered. I had a couple of opportunities to use it again, and I chose not to.
I don't know how many dice you peeled off saving a 2-strength squadron. I don't know if that's a win.
Yeah, maybe you're right, but it forced you to put some resources to it later. So
I mean, we've all spent our resources, so
I like
potato.
Yeah, I like the new squadron. The mercenary squadron was pretty cool. Did its job. I kind of kept it on the edge because I thought we'd have more edge engagements. And but at the end, it was pivotal, pointing inward. Its fighters and my fighter group, my carrier group, worked pretty well for me. I mean,
I liked how I liked how that one worked well.
Yeah, I really like that ship that has a ship that only has one fighter, so you're using it every turn. The extra pointed fighter and some of the other ships feel a little wasted sometimes. I understand why they're there, and to build up or remaneuver. You preserve your firepower for another turn if you don't use it. But I typically am always at a point where I'm using my fighters every turn, so that extra fighter point isn't very valuable to me. So these only having one fighter point, I feel like it's perfect. They've got an aggressive amount of firepower, artillery-wise. They've got enough missiles to couple well with it for the formation bonuses. And the fighters are just icing on the cake. I really like that unit. So
I like that it handles differently than the other stuff because it starts to feel very vanilla.
I agree too. It's, the uniqueness is pretty cool. I do kind of wish that there was an option like the cruiser in that squadron, more generically, like an aggressive, part raider ship, part carrier ship, like maybe a more aggressive light cruiser that wasn't a light cruiser ruled ship where it moves like a cruiser or fires like a cruiser, and it has that 1 point of fighter and some other firepower, whether it be missile or artillery. I felt this role in that squadron was pivotal, and I wish I had more of that because that just fits my style so much more. I mean, that's what I would play. Would be, I mean, it's why I like the light cruiser units so much. Is like I found that one extra fighter just gives it enough versatility to counteract the fact that it loses its range. But
If there's anything that you guys liked about this, or if there's a different system,
yeah, and
I think we've got Kings of War
Also?
and Victory at Sea. So if there's one over the other that you guys prefer, let us know. We're probably gonna have most of it painted and set up. I don't know how long it'll take me, especially with
Kings of War will take us a lot longer. So
Yeah.
I suspect we'll do Victory at Sea next. Start working on Kings of War. I don't know if we'll have anything in between then. We may do more Stars and Steel. I hear there's some more rules in the works coming out. So if there's as new stuff comes out for Stars and Steel, I'm sure we will cover it in the battle report. Try out whatever new things are on that front. Also, there's a couple of other games on my radar. I might give Grunts a try, and maybe Horizon Wars. I think it is. Both of those are kind of interesting games that are on my radar. So if any of those appeal to you, also, you want to see some battle reports, let us know. Hopefully, we'll get them out a little bit more regularly after this. I'm still moving in, so we have a longer time. But I've got more stuff on the way, so stay tuned. Thanks again to Assault Studio Publishing, the creators of Stars and Steel, and thanks to Thingiverse user Smite for the American Fleet STLs, and thanks to Nihilore for the music. See you next time, and thanks for watching.